Good day to everyone. This is a short recording in support of the 7th session of our Viva preparation training series, in which we are working jointly through the Viva preparation course, getting ready for the Viva. The format of the sessions is as follows. We will focus first on the week that passed and afterwards move into the week to come. And activities in the session include getting clarity, testing answers, and in the closing as a group reflecting on joint things of interest. Now, with this, the week that passed was focusing on conclusions, recommendations, and future research. And we were looking into a number of questions on testing answers, getting clarity. And one of the example questions that I will present here as a result of the discussion was the question 9 on what haven't you looked at and why not. Now, a possible answer suggested for this would be to work over a time narrative, like there was only that much amount of time to do the things, and therefore the scope was established as follows. Now, having said that, there's a better narrative for answering that question, and such narrative might work, for example, over boundaries or over scope. If you would work over the boundaries, then you could answer to the question, given the boundaries that this study established, there were questions such as A, B, and C that, considering the boundaries, were not any longer followed. Though these questions are clearly of relevance to the problem and might be further explored once moving the boundaries also into the domain of X. So this type of answer shows perspective, contrast, and that you have been thinking things through. Likewise, a response could be like, a further question that this study could have explored was the element of X. This, however, would have required to adopt a different or even a second conceptual framework, as well as to add further methodologies of A, B, C, and as used in the related works of Z. Seeing, however, the scope of the study that Z conducted, this appeared to extend the thesis beyond of what could have been sufficiently covered in a 100,000 word limit and in sufficient depth. Or at least this is what the reflections in between me and my supervisor concluded at that point in time. But if you, as an examiner, do see how such an extension could be managed, I would be more than pleased to learn about your thoughts. So those type of answer would exactly allow for double loop feedback, for joint reflections and engagement, and perhaps to also learn on how things could be done differently, whether it then would be done or not, still could be openly handled. So this type of possible answers to those questions we've been looking at. And with this, we will come into the week ahead on impact, actionability, and personal development. Now, what is this part of the Viva about, and what is it looking for? Impact. This is a bit like an elevator pitch. Can you tell why one should bother about your work, and how would you measure impact anyway? Would you measure it quantitatively? So what is it that you're counting in here? And why are you counting it? And how do you analyze it? Or is it qualitatively? So how do you see the impact, and at what point in time? Impact already seen through the research, impact now as a result of your work as you are sitting in the Viva, or impact that might be seen and measured only in the future. Actionability, that's a bit like the what's next. Can you respond to the what next pitch? What are actionable outcomes of your research? And what is actionable in your work? Is it action as a method, such as action research, or action as a process, such as a constant engagement with stakeholders and changes in the researched environment? And if so, what is changing and by whom? Or what is it changed and why is it changing? Or is it action as an outcome, like being able to action on the result of the study, actions that were already undertaken or at a future point in time? So those are the things that would need to be clarified. Likewise, personal development. Is there really someone generally interested in you? Or is it about you as a researcher and as part of the research process and study? Or through these questions, or type of questions, are the examiners just looking for indirect evidence to evaluate flaws, biases? and the like in your research. Such type of contextual information and the understanding what the examiners are exactly looking for is crucial for you so to adequately respond to such type of questions. And we will now see how answers in accordance to that could vary greatly. Let's look, for example, at question 9 then. What surprised you the most? So is it really about you and your surprise? Perhaps not. And a possible answer to this question, well, could be something like, what was most puzzling was that while all initial evidence suggested this to be a management issue, the data suggests that a common underlying root cause of the various issues was in the inability of the leadership team to engage with others. So the issue turned out to be more of a behavioral thing, while the managerial part was just the context in which the problem occurred. Now, let's also take another question like question 20. If you started the study again, what would you do differently? An answer to this question, well, could be, now that I conducted such a large number of interviews and focus groups, I managed to significantly improve my transcription and coding skills. This means that in future studies, or once redoing this study, I likely would be able to cover much more broad stakeholder spectrum. Now, if you provide such type of responses, that shows how the research developed within the context and how you developed in the context of your research. Such answers, therefore, might be preferable over answers that focus more on yourself. So it is therefore very important to have a clear understanding what the examiners are really looking for. And obviously, you should try to tease that out, so to give an answer that is matching to what is looked for, or to choose in between the one type of answer you could provide or the others that might be preferred within the context of the research. Now, if you want further feedback during the week, please feel free to use the submit assignment for free peer feedback function, and we will get back to you. With this, we come into the discussion part and will now stop the recording. But before we're doing that, you're also very much invited to join our final event, which is a mock Viva pitch session run by Professor Dr. Bastian Gomischek on Wednesday, 26th of May. If you want more information, please click the link below. And with this, we stop the recording and we'll go into the group discussion.